Hi there guys, Jay here from Just Technics, and here today with the DDJ-REV7 Motorised Platter DJ Controller from Pioneer DJ. Massive thank you going out to Jack from Pioneer DJ for bringing down the unit for me to do a review for the last 2 weeks. So, it's Pioneer's first take on the Motorised Platter. It is definitely a 10 out of 10 for me in terms of effort. We'll go that far. It's got what you'd class as a top-of-the-range scratch mixer with a Magfell Pro fader built into the unit, and you've got a motorised platter on either side. So where could they go wrong with this? It's really, really good. So we're going to start off with the cons on this unit. The problems that I found with this over the last 2 weeks of having this unit lent to me by Jack at Pioneer DJ. We'll start off with the obvious thing that a lot of mixing DJs are going to find fault with, and that is the pitch control position. Bearing in mind, guys, this is designed for turntablists, not for mixing DJs or open format DJs, as they are otherwise known. People that can mix all sorts of styles, happy no matter what the position or what equipment they're thrown at. And this is exactly why the decks are obviously in battle position on the pitch control, because most scratch DJs have their decks in battle position, so it's just more ease of use with the arm. You're not going to hit the needle, and it's just for default use. They're just used to having the pitch control in this position because the deck is on its side like that. That's what you're used to. So again, we'll go back to the platters on this. They feel really nice in use. They're very, very, very slidey on this as well. You have 2 plastic slip sheets underneath the platter. You can then obviously take out and put more back in. You can do what you want with them to increase the sensitivity or the overall feel of the actual unit when you move it. The platter itself doesn't stop when you apply minimal pressure. It's not jolting or anything. It feels nice during use. Mixing DJs are going to have a bit of trouble with the fact that there's no spindle. I mean, if you're used to pushing a spindle, that's going to be the bugbear for you. But like I say, it's a controller, so don't expect everything. You've got pitch bend buttons here if you prefer to use that. So if you want to speed it up, either stab the record with your fingers or use the pitch bend button. It's extremely accurate. It's very, very sensitive, and that'll do the job in no time whatsoever. To slow your track down, run your fingers down the side of the platter. It acts just like a normal turntable, and you'll have no issues there whatsoever. So the first con, pitch control. Second con is the fact that there's no spindle, but it's a controller, right? Third con out of all of this is one of the most obvious things I would have thought of, but you've got an external power supply, guys. You've got a separate brick power supply that has an angled section of plastic to keep it inside the unit when it's plugged in. Now, you could argue the fact and say, well, yeah, it should be inside the unit. You know, it would make more sense having it all in one. And yes, I agree with that. I would have done it in such a way to make it a little bit bigger, just so you can actually have the brick inside, because they don't really weigh anything. But I suppose they're thinking of weight. I mean, this is a heavyweight unit. If you're going to be carrying this thing around, it's going to be a little bit lighter, but more of a hindrance having an individual power supply. Now, I've said to Pioneer that I'm going to be as blunt as possible on this video, and that's exactly what I intend to do. So again, cons will be the pitch control position for mixing DJs. Your hands are going to be at a very weird angle. You're going to do your wrists in, but you need to get used to it if you're going to be mixing. That's the only option that you have, is this unit with pitch in that position. Second one is the spindle. So either stab the record or use the pitch button. Pitch bend buttons, and the power supply. I think they should have incorporated that personally. That's my own opinion on this. We'll move on to the mixer section now. So again, plenty of features here to play about with. Just about any DJ is going to get to grips with this, whether you are a mixer or a scratcher. So headphone cueing being very important. Cue to master in your headphones like you do with every mixer, and then you've got a cue left and cue right, and like a miniature crossfader going through your headphones. I had no issues at all getting to grips with that. It's like any other mixer really, apart from you haven't got a cue button for left and right. It's in your headphones as a crossfader, and that's very, very nice indeed. Channel faders feel nice and smooth, not overly loose, which is a good thing I suppose for mixing DJs, but if you are a scratcher you might want these a bit looser. But again, it's tried and tested by a lot of big name DJs, and if they've got on with this fine, guys, there really is no excuse for us bedroom boys, is there, eh? The crossfader for me is the most important thing, and Pioneer's thrown on this one here a Magfell Fader Pro. Very nice to use. You can adjust the actual feeling of the fader using the front of the unit. So if you are a mixing DJ and you like chopping them but you want something firm, all the way to the right, it is nice and firm, and just about any DJ that mixes is going to get used to that. Have it at its default setting in the middle, is a quick sort of mix and match between the two, or its lighter setting It's extremely light, and that's how I keep mine. So just about any scratch DJ is going to get to grips with this. You've then got the curve adjustment on the front as well, so you can either have it as short mix, so in other words, you've got it on high cut, so you can have it on the higher setting on cut, so when you move it out, the volume's going to cut straight through at instant volume, or you have it all the way to the left, which gradually builds out the volume. So those, again, you mixing boys that only use the crossfader and don't use your channel faders to fade your tracks up, that's going to be very handy for you. But one thing I will say, if you are used to using, say for an example, like an Inno fader, and you like physically pushing things out and assigning the fader to open at set positions, don't be put off if you ever try one of these in the showroom and go, the fader doesn't feel right, I don't like the cut-in distance. That's what I'm trying to say, the cut-in distance. If you don't like the cut-in distance, you can assign that using the laptop, using your laptop or your PC, your Mac, whatever you've got, and you can use the Pioneer software to actually assign when this opens and closes. Now, when I did this, I set mine to 0, and you've only got to blow it a slight amount and that'll open. So if you like it, so you've only got to literally just touch the fader and that's on full cut, that's what you can do. So don't be put off if you try this inside a showroom of a retail store and think that you can't scratch on it to your liking, because you can do that. You've obviously got reverse on every channel here as well, including curve on both the channel faders too. So that's another handy input there on the front. The sample pads on here, I call them sample pads, but the touch sensitive pads can be assigned for everything that you see on here. Hot cues being particularly, it's obviously useful. So you obviously queuing up beginning of track. There's no other way of doing it. There's no needle to move on these. So obviously it has to be done by hot cue on the software. Roll, save loop, sampler, wicked. They're all really cool. The effects section on here, you can either lock the triggers to lock your effect permanently on, or you can stab the effect, and you can either mess about while I'm sort of trying to scratch the top of the fader on this, or you can just have them on and turn them off with echo effects. You've got level and depth, which is the overall control of the actual sound itself, high or low in theory. You've got your effects that you can change in the way that the beats kick in as well. You've got automatic BPMs, all various different things you can do. Free band EQ, which is total kill, as you can see by the diagram. It's total kill for bass, mid and treble. Trim adjustment is on the left and the right hand side of the fader itself, or the channels themselves. So they're nice and out the way, and you're not going to knock these by mistake. Booth level and master level, pretty self-explanatory. Obviously your effects section here, like I've said, so you can choose your effect, and then you can choose the depth and the way that the beats will kick in, very similar to what our DJM mixer will do. There's a utility mode on this as well, so you can hold down the shift button and then you hold down utility, and if you see this on the screen here, you get the utility mode on here. You can scroll up and down, you can change various different features on this, but the one that people are going to be really interested in is the motor torque setting. If you don't like platters that rip your fingers off, i.e. Super OEM handpin turntables, you can adjust it to low or high. So high obviously means that when you touch it, it's more resistance. When it's on low, it's more that of a Technics turntable, and that is exactly what they've done here. So it feels very similar to what you're used to using, guys, on turntables. The most practical features of this, so you can use this as a DJ mixer as well. So you've got here pretty much a state-of-the-art separate DJ mixer in theory. So if you were going to go out and buy an individual mixer, you'd be looking about £1,400–1,500 pretty much for this unit. So a couple of £100 more. These are £1,899 for the entire unit. Sounds like a lot of money, but if you were going to be buying this mixer on its own, it's a couple of £100 more, and you get all of this. So that in that respect, it is a no-brainer. But if you do want a separate mixer and prefer your turntables closer to the mixer, that is where you're going to be thinking, well, is it really worth me buying this unit? But again, you can use it as a standalone mixer. You can use it with line or phono inputs. So turntables, you can use them for it absolutely fine. And that means you can take advantage of the high quality crossfader and all the other goodies on here, I suppose, with your turntables. Within reason, I'd imagine things like some of the effects won't do this, but I'll confirm this and put that in the comments below as well after I've done this video. So you can do that. The other cool feature on this unit, which I really do like, which is a bit of a game changer, is instant scratch. So what happens when you turn this unit on, first of all, when you plug this through your Serato software, because it's purely Serato, not Record Box, You will obviously you'll drag and drop your tracks onto each deck by using the rotary knobs up here, then loading the tracks. That's fine. But the biggest bugbear you have if you're mixing on a 2-channel controller is if you want to load scratch samples on, you have to physically load them on the channel, then you have to reload your track or have it in your your crates down the side and then reassign the track again. With this, you literally just hit instant scratch, then you choose one of the 4 different banks, and these samples are actually pre-built into the unit. So you have 4 different styles of scratch sample, well 3 different scratch samples, and 1 with just a loop beat. So that's continuous loop. It's very handy if you've got an emergency and you're running out of space on the track, or anything happens, you've got an instant loop there and 3 different scratch samples. So technically there's 4 sample banks there, 3 with scratches, 1 with a loop. And you just turn it off when you want to go back to your track, and it instantly goes back to what you were playing on there, so you can re-cue it and start from scratch. But like I say, this is a Serato only unit for the minute. They've done something a bit different, because usually Pioneer will push their items towards record box. This is purely Serato. The software is obviously downloadable from the Serato website. All the instructions are included on how to do so. And yeah, it is practically plug and play. All I had to do was download and install the drivers for the unit, install the software, I plug it in, it picked it up straight away, and I was playing tracks in about 10 minutes. So for anyone that wants something that's easy to use, I think this is pretty much going to be your all-in-one unit. Would I buy one's the question. Everyone's been asking me, is it any good, Jay? Would you buy one of these? Would you rely on this playing at a gig? Would you use this at home? And would you buy this over turntables? And the truth is this, I prefer vinyl. I always have done. That's just the way that I play over the last 20 odd years, 22 years. But if I was to use something and wanted something that was all in one, that I could put in a nice flight bag, like a Magma bag or Road Ready case or something, get it out at a gig, get your laptop out on top of it, and plug it in and away you go, and know that everything you're using is going to do exactly what you want as a scratch DJ, then this is exactly what I'd be using. But if someone said to me, as a mixing DJ, would you rely on this? It's a difficult question to answer, guys, because look, all you got to do is turn your camera around that way and the pitch controls that way. I think if they had have done that with an option of having the pitch control as a battle style and a club style, I think this would appeal to a lot more DJs. So I wouldn't be surprised later on down the line that there will be a club version of this particular mixer and controller unit all integrated together. And I think that will then open up the market. I said exactly the same thing to Pioneer as well. Why didn't they just wait and decide to put a screen on this with USB input? Because I wouldn't even care about where the pitch controls are then. If you could do the whole thing as a standalone, all-in-one unit, that in itself would be a game changer. But as with everything, with like with Pioneer, every brand's the same. Look at it as a iPhone versus Android. So they bring out phones every year. You buy the top of the range phone. The next thing you know, 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, something new comes out, and you then want the next best thing. This is the best thing that they've done in terms of controller with motorized platters. It's the first of their kind. So if they're going to follow this up, they need to follow it up with the pitch controls being in club position and not battle, and perhaps an all-in-one unit with USB. And I think once they've done that, they'll then look at CDJs with motorized platters. They're going to become, and we all know this, it's a no-brainer. They've done the technology now to do this. They're going to integrate it into CDJs. That's got to happen, surely. So it really is the option of, is this what you want? If you want something that's got a scratch mixer with 2 motorized platters that feel like record decks, then you pretty much can't go wrong with this. But there are other things on the market. I mean, you've got the Rain unit, the Rain 1. I think that's just over $1,000 to buy brand new. And the pitch controls are in the club position as well. But again, if you're Pioneer only, then this is the one you go for. If you want something that's going to be brand orientated, this is your unit. The Crossfader is fantastic on it, and the feeling for scratching is great. But just like I say, there are a few bugbears on this unit that I, as a DJ, probably wouldn't be too happy with. But again, it's each to their own. There's many other features on this that I can go on about all day, but the next thing I will show you before I do go is this. No matter what you're using, whether it's instant scratch or if you're using samples on a computer, you can actually access the on-screen display for the needle position. So you can either have it on a display, or it's obviously, you can see here you've got 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock on there. So you can set samples and you know roughly where you are. But included with the unit as well, you actually do get some sticker sheets which look like the white line. So you stick them on. If you're used to using permanent markers, self-adhesive markers, you can do that too. Now what I am looking at designing is a graphic sheet that actually lets you change and pop your own graphics on. So you can have your own DJ name, etc. On there, including the actual line built in. So you've got your own flexibility there for sticker sheets. But yeah, it's a wicked bit of kit. It looks great. It's built like a tank. And for Pioneer's first ever attempt of a DJ controller that has motorised platters to feel like a turntable, I think they're pretty much hit the nail on the head of what they were trying to do. Looks and feels really good. And yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10, especially for the design concept. And that's pretty much that, guys. Any questions on it, fire us over a message if you can through the Just Technics Facebook page. Or if you want to, leave a comment below and I will try and answer as many questions as I can, because the next part of this video is going to obviously be me physically using this for mixing. But what I'm going to do, instead of putting a video up of this, it's going to be an audio file, which I'm going to be uploading to Mixcloud. So it's not going to be a physical video, because if I try uploading a physical video to YouTube, it gets taken down for copyright. So understandably, it's going to be a Mixcloud file of me mixing and scratching on this unit. And the description will be in the link shortly. So keep your eyes peeled on the page, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Take it easy, guys.